Oh, you knew I'd be here, right? We're live. This is Trish Regan Show. I am Trish. Good to have everybody here. Pretty big day. We got to talk a little bit about one Jasmine Crockett. I know your favorite person, right? But here, I got some good news for you because there's no way in ATLL this woman is winning Texas. And I've got the proof. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the tragedy unfolding right now in Minneapolis. You know, ICE has warned people pretty explicitly before not to try to hurt them in any way, but things have kind of escalated right there in the streets of Minneapolis, and we're going to get to that. And I just have to say, whoa, this woman, she's like one of the original squad members. Iona Presley, like Jasmine's trying to be all that, but maybe she's got a ways to go because this woman seems to be auditioning for her next MSNBC spot. Going viral right now, Iona Presley of Massachusetts.
About DC. This is accountability, and you are hypocrites. So again, I will take your refusal.
Thanks for demonstrating my opening
Mr.
statement.
Chairman, order, decorum. She's off the rails. Reclaiming my time. I'm not off the rails, please.
Lovely. Lovely, 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 lovely stuff. All right, we begin today on this atrocious appearance by one Jasmine Crockett when she decided to grace the presence of the other, how should we say, crazy ladies, for lack of a better term, over on that program that really should be off the air by now. You know what I'm talking about, The View. Anyway, she had a few different moments there that I want to share with you because it's worth just highlighting, especially in light of, I think everyone's concerned right now about the direction that the left is going in. In other words, they like Maduro. Yeah, they like communism. Just look at what Ma'am Dami's director of housing is out there spouting off about with her tweets about how home ownership must be outlawed, right? Because that's somehow the whole basis for everything and inequality, etc. Well, Jasmine Crockett, surprise, surprise, trying on yet again a new accent, is talking about how there's no way they should have gone in after Maduro, no way they should have done this. I hate to tell her this, but I'm just going to remind her. Texas is heavily Hispanic. Lady, you sure don't know your audience, do you?
This ain't about Venezuelans. I get that there are people that don't like the leader, but guess what? There are a lot of people that don't like our leader. And regardless, somebody coming into the United States and grabbing our leader in the middle of the night and killing people in this country, I'm sure everybody would be outraged at them doing it that way.
Yes.
Really? And then she went on to kind of suggest that, well, Donald Trump is some version of Maduro. Okay, because Maduro didn't recognize the election. So therefore, somehow she's making this, equality attempt with the likes of a murderous dictator that has starved his people and allowed GDP to suffer down 80% since 2013, has confiscated property. I mean, she's really and truly kind of a nut job. But, I think that this is where we are right now, right? The Democrat Party has gone full on bonkers. She really likes the color yellow. Should I be offended? Who wore it best? Thank you. Anyway, she is out there calling Trump effectively the Maduro of the United States, which is really, I'm just going to say once again, you don't know your audience, lady, because you don't know how people in Peoria, as they say, really think, or the people in Texas, because these are people that have escaped these communist and socialist regimes that have populated the likes of Latin America. And so Jasmine Crockett, that might not be a good idea to take that line of thinking. By the way, I mean, so long as we're on the topic, you know what really annoyed me about Jimmy Carter trying to say that this president, when he won back in 2016, was not a legitimate president, is that Carter started what's known as the Carter Foundation. And Carter Foundation is the one that goes into all these godforsaken places in Latin America and says yay or nay as to whether or not the election is legit. And it was the Carter Foundation that went in and said, we cannot verify the results of the election. Maduro did not win. And I was just thinking that last night. I was thinking about Donald Trump and these stupid comparisons from the likes of these stupid people. And believe me, when he says low IQ, he means it when it comes to her. I'd like to know where she graduated from law school in. I mean, not where, but just exactly where she was in her class. Is she going to be like Joe Biden until she was tippy top when she was tippy toppy bottom of the class. I don't know. She's not that smart. And it's really not a bright move to be comparing Donald Trump. It's just actually grotesque, frankly, as a human being, to be comparing a president who's trying to do everything he can to make this country better to the likes of one Nicolas Maduro. But, you know, that's who she is. I'll tell you this. The markets love what Trump has done. I mean, just look at where we've been. They're like, woohoo, you know, USA is back, baby. And it just shows you all those little countries all over the world, including Iran. I'm looking at you, including China. Not so little, but I'm looking at you anyway. And Russia, when we put our mind to it, guess what we can do? We can do a lot. And so you have to pay attention to that. So this is really good for King Dollar, as they say. King Dollar lives on. And you're talking about what, 500 billion barrels of oil, more than they have in Saudi Arabia. It proven 300 billion have been proven, and estimates as high as 500 billion. Granted, I know it's heavy and I know it's tar-like and you got to get it out of the ground, but wouldn't you rather we have that as opposed to the Chinese having that for the foreseeable future, considering it's right here in our hemisphere? We're going back to the late 1800s and Monroe Doctrine. One of you guys writing, I saw that in the notes, Cuba is next. Well, funny you should say that. By the way, if you haven't gone over and checked out my financial research firm, please do that. It's mine. It's my baby. I started with a very dear friend who I've known a long time, brilliant stock picker. His name is Rob Horton. And Rob and I started this, and I really encourage you to check that out because, you know, it's a new year and you want to be invested in these markets. I feel like a broken record. I feel like I'm turning into Susie Orman or something, or your mom. Like, invest, invest, invest. Whatever you have, even if it's just $5 a week. You can use code word dollar so you get the 76 report for $1 a month for the first 2 months. It goes to $9.95 thereafter. But hopefully we can do you a little good because the financial media certainly isn't. The financial media is out there saying things like this. Oh, stocks, bonds are set for a jittery start. I mean, the futures market was way up on Monday. And Rob sent me this. He's like, can you believe this? And I'm like, yeah, I can believe it. You know what? Because they are so riddled with TDS over there that they can't see the forest for the trees. But I will say, you guys are joking about Cuba. I mean, after that weekend, I was like, hey, why not next weekend? We got Cuba. Following weekend, we'll go for Colombia. You know, some people are talking about Greenland. Ooh, the Danes won't like that. They're a nasty bunch. I know that. Firsthand experience. Anyway, here is Rick Scott, the senator from Florida, talking about, wow, what is transpiring and how amazing this is. And we're going to get back to Jasmine, I promise.
So proud of what the president did, and Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth and everybody, our military, Maria Corina Machado, and what they did in Venezuela is going to change Latin America. This is the start of changing Venezuela. Then we're going to fix Cuba. Nicaragua will get fixed. Next year we'll get a new president in Colombia. We're going to start. The democracy is coming back to this hemisphere.
Yes, they are just, furious for some reason because, Mamdani wants more of that crapola spreading all the way north to New York City. In fact, he's taken it there. Let's face it. And it is crapola. You want to know why everybody's leaving these godforsaken places? Because they want a chance at something better. They want a chance at capitalism. You get drugs, you got violence, and you got dictatorships down there in the likes of places like Venezuela. Fortunately for Venezuela, they also have oil, and that is what President Trump cares about. That's what I care about too, as well as keeping the Chinese, the Iranians, and the Russians out of there. Jasmine Crockett, I'm not sure what she cares about other than Jazzy Poo. Jazzy wants to have a future, of course, in politics. Jasmine Crockett, however, is being confronted with reality. And by reality, I mean poll numbers. And these poll numbers are not good. These poll numbers are really reflecting the reality that Texas, oh, that's why she's wearing yellow. Ta-da! Okay. That's why it's yellow all the time now. I was like, wait a second. I thought that was the color I got to wear. She's been wearing yellow because she wants to be the senator from Texas. And, Yellow Rose of Texas, the whole thing. Anyway, Jasmine's new poll numbers indicate to me anyway, she's not going to get anywhere close. Anywhere close. I mean, she may win the Democrat primary. Maybe win the Democrat Party primary. But then when you stack her up against the likes of Ken Paxton, great guy, has been on this show many times, including this podcast many times, or when you stack her up against John Cornyn, I don't think she's going to really get anywhere. And given that these new poll numbers have just come out, a brand new poll just a couple weeks ago showing Jasmine's really kind of up against it. Like, there's no way in ATLL, let me just level with you, that this woman is going to win Texas. And so she's coming to this realization, and she's looking for her next gig, because don't forget, she is out of her district. It's going all red in the state of Texas. In fact, I think she has some choice words. I'm not going to play them for you because we don't use that language here on the Trish Regan Show, but there was an FU involved to the Supreme Court because of the decision that they made that, yes, in fact, it could be decided that the districts would be changed, and those districts now reflect a very, very red Texas. So bye-bye, Jasmine. And now she sees this poll, and she's trying to justify her existence on The View. I guess that's where you go when you want to try and do this. Plus, simultaneously, I think, she's trying to land herself a new gig.
So I want to just say one thing about you, because I think you clearly trigger the base, Trump, and also the vice president. Let's watch this clip.
And Jasmine Crockett. Oh, Jasmine Crockett. The record speaks for itself. She wants to be a senator, though her street girl persona is about as real as her nails.
That's good.
Here's your chance. Respond to
Okay,
him.
so first of all, my nails are real. But I will say, what a lot of people don't understand, and Alyssa, you can help me out with this, is that Republicans are a lot better at doing focus groups, right? And so Democrats, we rely on like poll, but focus groups allow you to kind of get down to the nitty gritty of like why people feel a certain way about certain things. Well, I can tell you that right now, what disturbs them is that I am able to get at a demographic that Democrats have been losing. Consistently in third-party polls, as well as my internal polling, it shows that those that don't have a college degree, by over 70%, choose me. Well, that's a demographic that we've been losing without, so now he's like, oh, no, it's all fake. Like, don't believe that. No, the reality is that I was a criminal defense attorney. I was a public defender. I am somebody who walked into plenty of jails and dealt with real killers. So let me be clear. I understand what happens in the streets, but I don't have to, quote unquote, be a street girl. And I don't even know why.
Don't you think that that's racist?
No.
What is it?
Joy, you know it's racist. Now, we know that, right?
It's very racist.
But one of the things that they've been trying to do for quite some time is to try to figure out, specifically within minority communities, where I do well, is how do I divide minorities about who Jasmine is? So sometimes they say, oh, she's so educated. And so they're trying to get people that maybe don't have as many degrees, but I'm like, it's not about that. We are all in the same sinking ship, whether you black, white, Asian.
That's right.
You know,
educated, non-educated,
It was all about race,
sinking shit.
right?
Yeah.
And
so
so
go
at
straight
the
to the
end
race
of
well, and now she's trying to tell us, oh, no, now we're all the same. Okay, if we're all the same, we're going to appreciate that cheaper oil now, aren't we? Right out of Venezuela. We're going to appreciate the fact that you are addressing the root causes of immigration through one Donald J. Trump and his Don Roe doctrine, right? I saw you guys talking about that. Yeah, exactly. And guess what? Democrats are just going to have to get used to it, because those are some good examples of what we can do. But Jasmine, the low IQ former public defender, well, she's not stacking up so well. Take a look here. Oh, let's make sure that I got this in the right place. There we go. She's not stacking up so well next to her competitors. You see, this is a Change Research poll, and it came out late November of this year. You had over 1,000 Texas voters that were polled, and look at that. John Cornyn's getting 49 to 41. Crockett. Cornyn wins. And Ken Paxton, my friend, oh, you're looking good too. 50% to Crockett's 42%. Basically, the poll showed that Crockett has higher name recognition than other Democrats, but a lot of negativity surrounding that name. Surprise, surprise. I mean, remember the eyelash thing and the bleach bit blonde butch who knows what? I mean, I saw that. I'll never forget that. Actually, I heard it first on Newsmax. I was going on to Newsmax to do one of the shows there, and they were playing it. And they wanted me to react to it because it just happened in real time. And I was horrified. By the way, I was horrified with both of them. Both of them. They just deserve each other. She talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene on there too, and had, all kinds of lovely things to say about MTG. I'm like, wow, these two, they should take the show on the road. Maybe they are going to be new hosts on The View. Hey, Bob Iger, you want ratings? I mean, I guess that's what it's about. They're trying to get ratings. They're trying to get attention. They're trying to get noticed. So she's getting noticed. She's got a 40% unfavorable rating compared to the other Dems in Texas. So she may not even win this primary. You understand, this woman's getting desperate. This woman needs a job. This woman knows how to, shall we say, be affectatious and create a stir, as does MTG. So now the more I think about this, I really think this was some kind of audition for The View. And I think that, she's going on there talking about, well, my poll numbers that I have, my internal poll numbers show a path to winning. Well, I'd like to see those internal poll numbers, because all the polls we've seen thus far, Jazzy babe, you're not winning. You're not getting anywhere close. I mean, maybe the Republicans were actually slipping you some phony poll numbers just because they want you to win. I mean, they want you to win the Democrat nomination. They want you to at least put your hat in the ring, because then, Paxton, Cornyn, one of them is going to come in and sweep you right off your feet and right into the dumpster, right? Jasmine, she doesn't get one other big thing. So one, she doesn't understand the Hispanic vote, which is pretty darn important in a place like Texas. And the Hispanics, they don't like Maduro, right? They have no use for the socialist dictator that made so many of their relatives' lives miserable. They have no use for him. So they love what Trump just did. So they're not going to like her position on that. And then she's got another problem, you see, because anybody who might be in the middle that might have voted for Trump, she doesn't want him. I'm sorry. It's Texas. Yeah, Texas. Last time I checked.
How you make voters who previously voted for Trump, particularly given that you have been an outspoken critic and he has inserted himself.
Oh, by the way, this is like the fancy Jasmine. Do you notice that? The different hair and the black turtleneck and the black top. Oh, and the pearls. We're going to do the pearls too, okay, right? Because now we got to look super special and sophisticated because we're going on CNN. And then we're going to do our street girl thing when we go on The View. She's whatever you want her to be. Amazing.
Just take your campaign video as is. He has inserted himself at every turn when it comes to your commentary. How will you convert those who are supportive of him to voters for you?
Yeah, I don't know that we'll necessarily convert all of Trump supporters. That's not our goal.
Do you need to?
Our goal is to definitely talk to people. No, we don't. We don't need to. Our goal is to make sure that we can engage people that historically have not been talked to, because there's so many people that.
Mm-hmm. So she wants to engage people. I'm just putting some of your comments on the screen. Yeah, it's yellow time. I got yellow on. If you do the thumbs up, we get more yellows. Anyway, she is she's feeling she doesn't need to engage Trump voters at all. I mean, so I'm sort of like, what is this about? Is this just about taking people's money? Is she just like out to strip people of their savings? Is that really what it is? Because, last time I checked, if you're running in Texas, you're probably going to want to campaign in Texas. Is this really just about living the high life? I kind of wonder, because, there's this critic that was on Fox recently who put it all in perspective as they looked at how much money this lady has been spending. Let's take a look at it together.
The hog right now. And for a woman who is openly flirting with trying to run for Texas Senate seat against Senator either John Cornyn or whoever comes out of that primary, you are seeing a woman who's not spending an awful lot of time in Texas. That whole list of places she's been living high on the hog, I didn't see anything mentioning Dallas or Houston
Up in an
or
Amarillo.
Laredo or Amarillo. Right. She's all across the country making sure that she is getting taken care of, that her nails look fabulous, and that she is sounding off however she wants to.
So I guess it's about living the good life until you can get that TV gig, because it certainly doesn't seem to be about winning over any voters at all. I think it's is kind of funny. I mean, you just get to sit back and eat the popcorn and watch this mess unfold. And we're talking about a big, hot mess. Ted Cruz knows it.
The Democrat Party keeps getting more and more extreme, and they are united by their hatred for Donald J. Trump. And so she is an expression of where the Democrat Party is. But the good news is Texas is not Manhattan. There is a big difference between the two. And look, I got to say that the clip you just played where she said that every Hispanic in Texas who voted for Donald Trump has a slave mentality. Well, I'll tell you, I happily voted for President Trump. And if she thinks I have a slave mentality, then she doesn't understand Hispanics in Texas. Because I'll tell you, in 2024, Donald Trump carried a majority of Hispanics in Texas. In 2024, I carried a majority of Hispanics in Texas. I won Hispanics statewide by 6 points.
Mm-hmm. You know, Hispanics matter. I don't think she understands Hispanics at all. I don't think she understands anything other than how to make a scene, which is why really she would be better off going to MSNBC or The View. I'm telling you, MTG and Crockett on The View a couple times a week. I mean, people might actually watch it because, you know, they might actually break out into a full-on fist fight. Here's Brandon Gill,
Texas is a state
also from Texas,
where President Trump won by 14 points. She's saying she doesn't need Trump voters for her to win this. Yes, she does. Listen, you know she can't win. I know she can't win, and she does apparently too. Now, let me tell you, Sean, if Texans support one thing, it's law and order. And listen, this is probably the most pro-criminal candidate Democrats could have possibly found. This is somebody who has supported the defund the police movement, somebody who has said on record that just because you commit a crime doesn't mean that you're a criminal. This is somebody who has said on record that just because somebody crosses our border illegally, that is not a crime. Texans want somebody representing them who's going to stand for law and order, and that is certainly not Jasmine Crockett.
It's certainly not. It's like too easy, okay? It's too easy. But I think what Ted Cruz said earlier and is actually an important thing to remember. This is where the Democratic Party is going. I mean, this is kind of actually a dangerous, slippery slope. You look at Mamdani, for example. You look at his head of tenant housing and her view that ownership of anything is all wrong and that everything should be controlled by the state. They caught her on camera today actually breaking down, crying because someone brought up that her mom owns a $1.4 million home. Yeah, it's really it's frightening to me, only because if you go back, and I think Venezuela is a great example to think about. If you look at a place like Venezuela, where Chavez came in, I want to say it was like 1999, 2000. I had just started as an analyst at Goldman Sachs, covering, of all things, Venezuela, because we were trading sovereign debt, government debt in Venezuela, Argentina, Brazil, and Mexico. And guess what? Chavez was coming in, and, you know, the bond prices were going wild, and we were trying to say, okay, you know, well, this debt's okay, right? You're trying to sell, imagine, trying to sell Venezuelan sovereign debt as Hugo Chavez comes into power. And we're like, maybe Brazil's really the problem. No, it turns out Venezuela, well, and Brazil was a problem. But Venezuela really and truly was a massive problem because what did he do? He kicked everybody out of the oil Orinoco region, a region I've traveled to. I've held I'd put this upside down, but my water would come out. I've held that oil in a coffee cup, turned it upside down, and nothing comes out because this stuff is thick, heavy tar. The Rockefellers went down there in the early part of the 1900s, and they bought up some land, and they started drilling. And wow, I mean, this was a great place. It was like the Switzerland of Latin America, highest standard of living by far, highest education standards, and a lot of wealth. A lot of wealth thanks to that oil and Venezuela's relationship with the United States. But Hugo Chavez comes in, he goes on and on and on about the white colonialism that conquered Venezuela, and we need to take it all back, including our oil. So he kicked everyone out. The Europeans got kicked out, we got kicked out, and it was all for him and his buddies and his cronies. But they didn't know their arse from their elbow, shall we say. And they certainly didn't know anything about getting the oil out of the ground. They certainly didn't have the technology to get it out of the ground. So you got 500 billion barrels just sitting there in the Orinoco region, ripe for activity, and nothing happens. And he just digs in, and he steals from people and takes from people and kicks companies out and takes away ownership of all these things, all in the name of the state. Of course, the state. I mean, his daughter made out like a bandit. His family made out like a bandit. Same with Maduro's family. Because you see, and I don't need to lecture you on this because I'm pretty darn sure you know it if you're listening to the Trish Regan Show, and you know how much I hate communism because it strips every individual of dignity and opportunity and the chance for something new, something greater. I mean, imagine if you just didn't have to work for anything. I mean, that's why you see all these rich kids, right? All messed up. The Rob Reiner's kid, his lawyer actually just dropped him today. Voluntarily walked away from that case. You look at that poor girl out at the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco with the famous dad struggling. I mean, it's unfortunately, sometimes when you give somebody too much, they don't have any desire or need to strive for anything, and that takes away some kind of basic human instinct. And then when you tell them you're all going to have the same, you're going to live in the same house and wear the same clothes and only be allowed to do the same things, you're also robbing them of opportunity. And that's exactly what went down in Venezuela. You know, it's amazing. I played this for some of you guys already, but I'm going to play it again because Ana Navarro, you can't get more anti-Trump than one Ana Navarro on The View. And yet, even she was forced to admit the truth. And her colleagues are like, oh, because they're with Jasmine, right? They're with Jasmine. I mean, suddenly Nicolas Maduro, who's a murderous dictator, is like numero uno on all these Dems list. I'm like, did you guys forget that was Joe Biden that put the $25 million bounty on his head? Apparently, you know, because all's fair in love and war, and they think they're at war here in their own country with another side. And that's kind of dangerous, right, for us to be there right now. Let me show you what Ana Navarro had to say, and the shocked look on Sunny Houston's face, especially. I mean, she's just appalled. How could anybody be okay with getting rid of Maduro? Well, it had to happen. He was offered many chances. I know that for a fact. He declined them all. His wife was a big part of declining them all. So what do you know? They got her too. Here's Ana talking some sense into Whoopi and to Joy and to Sunny.
People in South Florida, the Venezuelan community, the Cuban American community, the Nicaraguan American community voted for this. And for us, this is a very, very happy day when we see a dictator who has been part of oppressing and abusing the Venezuelan people for 25 years. When we see him in handcuffs and held to some sort of accountability, it brought me into tears. It brought me great joy. And, you know, I live in South Florida.
But are you okay with the way that it was done?
But you can, I think both things can be true.
Okay.
I think you can criticize and ask questions and have concerns about the way it was done and what this means in the future.
Right.
And I think you can still celebrate that this murderous, corrupt, sadistic son of a bitch is out of Venezuela.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he has... I think there's 8 million Venezuelan exiles all over the world. People have fled from this man's tyrannical rule. So for me...
And for me, it's a good day. It's a good week. It is a fabulous, fabulous start to 2026. And what happened? Oh, Treasury yields went down. The stock market went up. The dollar got stronger. And like I said, why not take Cuba next weekend? I mean, we're on a roll, right? Really good. Really good. And sent a message loud and clear all across the world. And this is what needs to happen. And before the naysayers, oh, you know, it's hard to get the oil out of the ground. Let me just tell you, you got 500 billion barrels there. Okay, that's the most in the world. And technology is improving every single day. So wouldn't you rather have that locked down for the next 50 to 100 years than China, than Russia, than the Iranians? It is our hemisphere, okay? Donroe Doctrine, indeed. I love it. I love it. I love it. Anyway, Jasmine is symbolic of where the party is now. And we have a real problem with this party, a party that really, I think, has just betrayed its American values in so many ways. And it's terrifying, really, when you think about it. I don't know if you guys caught anything that's going on with Mamdani. Do you know this Mamdani tenant advocate? that's on his team. She broke down crying. Here's the story. Here she is. You can see her just sobbing in tears. Take a look at this. Her name is, let me make sure I get this right, Sia Weaver. She comes from a rather privileged upbringing, went to the, is it still all girls or do they allow boys now at Bryn Mawr College? When I was in school, it was an all girls college. It was one of those, original Seven Sister schools where you would try and go and get a good husband. Way back in the day. Anyway, they started allowing, I think they started allowing boys, and it's just known as a bastion of liberalness. So, well, most universities are, to be honest, but Bryn Mawr is especially bad. So she's a Bryn Mawr graduate, fancy schmancy, expensive school. Her mommy's home is worth $1.4 million. And when she was asked about that, her name is Sia Weaver, she broke down in absolute tears, just going on and on because, this gentrification issue is a real problem, she claims. Again, here's mommy's house. Oh, not bad. Okay, Sia, you're doing kind of well there, or at least mommy is, right? She's a professor. So is the dad. They're professors. I don't know, maybe another marriage. Anyway, you are not doing so well. clearly not doing so well. But, she has some very definite views, shall we say, definite views on home ownership and what the problem with home ownership is. And she has tweeted about this really at length over the years. And a lot of these have been taken down because she didn't want to get discovered as she was going in with the communist socialist new mayor of New York City. But it's all coming out because you know what? There is this little thing called the internet and this little thing called Twitter. And people went back and they found it. And boy, oh boy, this stuff is good. This woman is nuts. Okay. This is where the Democrat Party is. And when I talk about Venezuela and the atrocities of Venezuela and the dangers of Venezuela and it being the best case study right now in real time, I'm not kidding. You got a crazy guy with a crazy woman running housing there in New York City. And this is what she's spouting off about. Watch.
I think the reality is that for centuries, we've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good. And we are going to transitioning to treating it as a collective good and towards a model of shared equity will require that we think about it differently. And it will mean that families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well.
White families. Especially white families. Let's go back and listen.
Families who are homeowners as well are going to have a different relationship to property than the one that we currently have.
Oh, I see. Yes, because, property's bad. Again, it sounds like Jasmine Crockett all over again. So she was asked about this today and apparently somehow broke down in tears. Like she really can't hang. I'll tell you, these liberals, when we said they were a bunch of snowflakes, we really weren't kidding. Now, were we? I want to go and show you some of her tweets. Okay, this is great. This woman, wow. Here she is. This country built wealth for white people through genocide, slavery, stolen land and labor. White supremacy built the North and the South. Oh gosh, I guess she took this straight from 1619. Have you guys read 1619? I was reading a chapter from it the other day. It's a bunch of garbage. And I'm talking garbage with a capital G, okay? It's total garbage because guess what? I'm an economic historian. These people thought, believe it or not, that the accounting was created by slaveholders. That ledger accounting was created by slave owners. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, first of all, you can go back to the Revolutionary War. I was an early American history student and major at Columbia, back when Columbia was actually a decent school. And you see it all over that place, right? They had all the ledgers with the books there. And that was I mean, we're talking 1600s. You go back to the 1400s. You go back to, guess what? You can go back to ancient Venice. And you're going to see that. You could go back, to ancient Egypt, and you're going to get ledger accounting. And then she's trying to say that it was the slave trade. The author, it's a guy actually, who was this particular unit I was reading. Anyway, she goes on, and communists. We need more communists. We need more communists elected, right? Well, you got yourself a communist that you're now working for. Here's another one. Oh, there's no such thing as a good gentrifier. Only people who are actively working on projects to dismantle white supremacy and capitalism, and people who aren't. Seize private property is another one. Okay, happy 78th birthday to the MTA, and thank you for getting me from Midtown at 9 p.m. in less than 30 minutes. Seize private property. And then she goes on, private property, including, and kind of especially in big capital letters, home ownership is a weapon of white supremacy, masquerading as wealth-building public policy. Well, did she come out of Bryn Mawr, or did she come out of Bryn Mawr? And you know what, guys? This is the garbage they're trying to put down our kids' throats. I happen to know this. This is why I was reading the 1619. Full disclosure. One of my kids was actually assigned this. And I'm like, I'm just astonished. And thank goodness my children are smart and they question and they know right from wrong and they're willing to look at things critically. But a lot of these idiots in academia, including this little lady, they're not. So she can cry all she wants. Oh gosh, it's just terrible that your mother has a $1.5 million home. See ya. But she does. I guess you're part of the bourgeois problem, right? Jasmine might think so because Jasmine doesn't like you if you don't have the color skin that Jasmine has. In fact, she thinks this whole thing about Minnesota fraud is actually all about race. That the real fraud is coming from, oh, wait for it, the homeowners. You know, the same ones that Mamdami wants to go after. Those people are the real problems. That's why I guess we need reparations, right? In their minds, their very little minds. Here's Jasmine, just within the last couple of days, trying to look all official. Glasses lately, I see. Talking about how she doesn't really care about the Somalian fraud that is now seeing estimates of at least $9 billion in the state of Minnesota, talk of $70 billion that's missing in the state of California, and it goes on and on, Ohio, Maine, Washington State. But she doesn't care because the people don't have the right skin color as far as she's concerned. I mean, if they were white, sure. But Somalian fraud, oh, that can go on all day, apparently. Watch.
American people are concerned about is that the Republicans are taking away Americans' health care so that ultra billionaires can get more tax cuts. The real fraud is the dehumanization and demonization of the working class Americans and immigrants to distract folks away from corporate socialism that's happening because of the Republicans. So this is truly the definition of throwing away the baby with the bathwater.
Do we need to play that again? Did you understand that? Whoa, okay, so the Republicans are the corporate socialism, but she just wants, like, I don't know, actual social. I mean, what does she want? Like, how is fraud ever okay? Can I just back up for a second? So we're supposed to just hand out millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to daycares that don't exist because that's what Jasmine thinks is better for this system? We have a problem. Did I play for you the other day, Timmy Waltz? Timmy Waltz, who's going on and on about how things were so darn good in Venezuela, about how, you know, they had figured it out. Forgive me, not Venezuela. Almost Venezuela. In Minnesota, that they had figured out the entire thing because somehow, you know, they had all the daycare. This was actually something he brought up in his little thing that he did with Vance during the last election. So as he's debating him, he's talking, I'm looking for the soundbite as we speak. And if I have it, I'll play it for you. Oh, I do. What do you know? How about that? Oh, this is what you call a live show.
We in Minnesota passed a paid family and medical leave. You have a child, and I had to go back to work 5 days after my kids were born. This allows you to stay home a certain amount of time. What we know is that gets the child off to a better start. The family works better. We stay in their employers. We get more consistency in that. So Kamala Harris has made it a priority. We implemented it in Minnesota and we see growth. That's how you become a pro-business state. And so a paid family medical leave program, and I will tell you, go to the families or go to the businesses and ask them. As far as childcare on this, you have to take it at both the supply and the demand side. You can't expect the most important people in our lives to take either our children or our parents, to get paid the least amount of money. And we have to make it easier for folks to be able to get into that business and then to make sure that folks are able to pay for that. We were able to do it in Minnesota, and I'm still telling you this. We were listed as the best state. We're still in crisis on this. A federal program of paid family and medical leave and help with this will enhance our workforce, enhance our families, and make it easier to have the children that you want.
Well, at least the Samoans will be able to have all the kids they want. I guess you're still stuck paying for daycare because those daycares, they didn't exist. I mean, that's just unbelievable. That says so much right there. He's got all this fraud going on, and yet he's trying to brag about it. Think about that. So I just have to say, I think the Democrat Party is pretty darn screwed right now. When you're putting out as your best examples the likes of Timmy Walz, who wants tampons for all men, right? In the boys' bathrooms at school, and wants the boys competing against the girls on the track fields, and wants to make sure we get DEI on steroids, and we're just going to hand over $19 billion to Somali fraudsters? Because, I don't know, maybe they deserve it. I'm telling you, they, and I don't use this language that often, are screwed. As they should be. They should be running the Jasmine Crocketts of the world. Tell you, if she were smart, she'd hightail it to New York City because that's the only place they're going to have any love for her. Not in Texas, thank goodness. Texas is still smart. The whole party is sounding pretty off the rails, pretty unhinged, and pretty disgraceful for politicians. And I say that even knowing that politicians in and of themselves tend to be rather disgraceful. It's getting ugly. I want to show you what happened on the floor of our Capitol building today with one Iona Presley, one of the original members of the squad from Massachusetts, who was supposed to be asking about fraud in Minnesota. And instead of doing that, as she's talking to Minnesota representatives about the fraud that went down, watch how hysterical she gets. It's a little bit entertaining. Some people think it's her MSNBC audition.
An election fraud lie. Now, he claims he did these things in the name of patriotism, but really he's just a criminal. So raise your hand if you oppose Trump's pardon of this Minnesota individual.
Ma'am, this grandstanding nonsense
this is not grandstanding.
Exactly
this is
what
accountability.
Minnesotans hate about D.C.
This is accountability, and you are hypocrites. So again, I will take your refusal.
Thanks for demonstrating my opening
Mr. Chairman, order, decorum. She's off the rails.
Reclaiming my time. I'm not off the rails, please.
You are totally off the rails.
Nancy, enough with your tropes. Give me my time back.
Order, Mr. Chairman.
If Republicans were serious about reclaiming my time,
you spend your time. My constituents. You have no time left. You don't get to accuse me of things at the Chamber.
You're out of time. You're out of time. We're done here.
We're done.
Touch in out of time.
At least 10
Mr. Chair, she's out of time.
Can we just kick her out?
Out of order and out of time.
Ms. Presley, you've already secured your MSNBC spot tonight. Your time's required. Chair recognizes Ms. Mace from South Carolina. Chair recognizes Ms. Mace.
And this administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair recognizes Ms.
And
Mace.
Mr. Chairman, I agree. She's going to be a great host on MSNBC. This is my time.
I wouldn't want to jump in front of Ms. Mace if I were you, Ms. Presley.
I reclaim my time. This is my time.
I wouldn't want to interrupt Ms. Mace. It's her time. Chair recognizes Ms.
Oh my.
Mr. Chair, she did not get all of her time.
Mr. Chairman,
she wants to insult us for 10 more seconds.
What do we have to do to get this woman in order?
Her time is expired. Chair recognizes Ms. Mace.
You're going to be great on TV. You're really good.
So that was Nancy Mace saying, okay, this must be her audition for MSNBC. I'm sorry, but you know what? I've worked in TV long enough. Not even that's going to fly because you can't all talk over each other all at once. You can't just go on to the set and dominate it and just screech your way over everyone. Ms. Iona Presley. I mean, wow. And boy, she just gets worse and worse looking. I'm sorry, but she needs a little hair. Just a little. I'm going to get in trouble for that, I know. She probably has some kind of, situation like Will, what's his name's wife. Remember we went up and punched that guy? Anyway, I'm sorry. It's just, she's from Massachusetts. I'm allowed to say this. I grew up in New Hampshire. We don't like mass holes. Sorry if anyone from Massachusetts is watching. I do like you. I just don't like Ayanna Pressley at all. And I think she's pretty symbolic of where the party's heading. And they think they can just be the loudest and just scream the hardest and they're going to get their way. Oh, it's all about race. It's all about this. Oh, he's in a, this January 6th stuff. Oh my gosh. I mean, enough. You know what? Give me a secure country. Give me a secure border. Give me low inflation. Oh, we have all these things. Gosh darn it. We have a secure country. We have a secure border. We have low inflation, 2.7%. My gosh, and heading down. You know, we got all that oil coming out of Venezuela. We're going to see oil prices really go down. We got a lot of good stuff going on. We got prosperity. Again, 76 research. Make sure you're investing. We've got prosperity, people, and they can't stand it. They absolutely positively can't stand it. So it is really I guess they just want to be Venezuela and have everybody starving to death, and then they can live high off the hog with all their Somali friends and their daycare centers, where all the money is taken from the people and redistributed to fake entities. That's not an America anybody wants. That's not an America anybody wants to live in. It's not an America that frankly isn't America in any way. Leslie Kimball writing, OC is such a winner. I hope you have fun, New York. Yeah, good luck, New York. Good darn luck. You know, all the suburbs are going to see an uptick in real estate prices. That's happening pretty fast, right? Because everybody wants the heck out of New York. It's going to become dangerous. Look at what's going on in Seattle. You have a new socialist mayor there. Apparently, she just got out of her parents' house last year, even though she's 40-something. Has never really held a real job, and she just made a free-for-all for all kinds of illicit substances. And what comes with that crime? It comes in spades. And so Seattle is screwed. The Democrat Party is screwed. I just don't want America to be screwed, okay? I really don't. I want to go to the tragic story that we saw there in Minneapolis. And we have two versions of this story being floated. Of course, the lefty media has, their side. Oh my gosh, ICE just gunned down somebody in broad daylight. And that's their story, and they're sticking to it. The other side of the story is that this person, who was apparently some kind of activist, was in this truck that you see and was actually trying to gun down, or mow down, I should say, one of the ICE agents. And that is what the Department of Homeland Security has told us. In fact, Tricia McLaughlin saying that the woman had weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them. And this is why our law enforcement officers fought back to save their lives. The left is not going to get away with their version of the story this time, because the video is everywhere from multiple different angles. And it's unfortunate, very unfortunate, that someone would die in this process. But this woman was a protester. They thought she was trying to run over ICE agents, and they acted accordingly. I want to go right now to some sound from Kristi Noem, head of DHS, speaking about the incident moments ago.
Shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota, it was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened, it was our ICE officers were out in enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased. We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day. These vehicle rammings are domestic acts of terrorism. We're working with the Department of Justice to prosecute them as such. We will continue to protect our ICE officers and in cooperation with other law enforcement agencies as well. You've seen me in the last couple of days deploy over 2,000 more officers to the Minneapolis area. And in the last 2 days, we've arrested hundreds and hundreds of dangerous criminals, not just fraudsters who stole from the American people billions of dollars and put it in their pockets and enriched their friends from overseas and themselves. So we're going to continue to do our work. And I want to remind everybody that the act like we saw today of using a vehicle to try to kill an officer and his colleagues and the other people around him is something that every politician, every elected official, everyone in this country should be able to rally around and say that it is wrong. And that sanctuary cities and sanctuary states that protect individuals who do that should no longer be allowed. That those individuals that are in leadership positions in these sanctuary jurisdictions need to work with us to make sure that every single person that's out there enforcing the law can be safe, but also so that all of our citizens can continue to be safe too. Domestic acts of terrorism like this will not stand, and I'm grateful that we have the leadership in Washington, D.C. that recognizes it, and will make sure that it's working to keep every single community safe, regardless of who's in charge in that city. President Trump gets up every day and will work to keep people safe, whether they're in a red state or a blue state or in a city that has a Republican mayor or a mayor that has a Democrat mayor.
So she's making it pretty clear. This was an act of self-defense. This is a different view than what you see, for example, in the New York Times, where they talk about how the federal agents shoot the woman and kill her. And that is what you're going to hear all over MSNBC tonight. It is what you're going to hear on ABC World News tonight, on CBS Evening News, on NBC Nightly News. That is the viewpoint that they are going to perpetuate. When you look at the tape, and there's two different angles that I encourage you to see. When you look at the tape, what you actually see is somebody in front of that truck that the woman is heading straight for. Now, in fairness, she could have freaked out and like just headed straight for him or swerving. We don't know, right? Like, I mean, I'm trying to be kind in a moment like this because it's a story that's still developing. But I saw the tape and I thought it looked like she was heading straight for the guy to run him over. So again, there's a couple of different angles. You can see them on Twitter. It's important to it's, you know, it's graphic, it's ugly, it's sad. So we're not showing it here, but it's worth at least understanding that there are two sides to this story. And the ICE agents, as they tell the story, say that they were being basically attacked by this woman who was a protester, actually. According to the New York Times, they quoted Senator Tina Smith, a Democrat from Minnesota there, who described the person, state senator, as being the wife of a prominent activist. And Representative Ilhan Omar, a Democrat whose congressional district includes that shooting scene, described the person as a legal observer. So that's, you understand, the tone of the story that they are going to take. But when you look at that tape and put yourself right now in the shoes of those ICE officers and think about what they're going through, I'm telling you, this is a tinderbox, not because, you know what, we have ICE there, but it's a tinderbox because you have politicians almost kind of calling for this violence over and over again. Politicians on the left. I mean, I don't see this going on in other places. I mean, heck, you know, in Memphis, they're like, hallelujah, please. I mean, now I can actually walk to the corner store and back because I feel safe. In Washington, D.C., they were happy having ICE there. So why are they so upset in Minneapolis, where they're, by the way, not just tracking down the people that are here illegally, but they're conducting investigations. They're going door to door to some of those daycare centers. They're figuring out where the fraud was. And by the way, was there any fraud in terms of getting the actual citizenship here in America? Because if there was, denaturalization process can begin, and it will. Here is the mayor of Minneapolis, Mr. Jacob Frey.
Concern because of the chaos that is being caused by these ICE agents, that somebody is gonna get seriously injured or killed. Somebody is gonna get seriously injured or killed. And whether that is an ICE agent or a community member, we all know the tinderbox that could explode because of it. We all know that the federal government is looking for reasons to deploy more and more people to Minneapolis and blue cities around the country. We all know that we cannot afford to lose a single Minneapolis resident because they showed up and decided to protect their neighbors, because they showed up and decided to express their constitutional right to free speech. And so that concern is deep. It is held, by the way, not just by me and our residents and the people who are standing up behind me. The concern about getting somebody killed is also held by our police officers.
So all of these mayors in all of these really liberal places like Chicago, like Karen Bass in LA, like this guy who has been teaching himself Arabic on the side for his campaign commercials. No joke. I ran that in the shorts feed the other day. All right. They're all pandering to a group. And so in that process, they're getting everybody ginned up. You didn't see that happen in Washington, D.C. Actually, the mayor there, a Democrat who's not running for office again, she was like, we'll take the help. We welcome the help. We want to make our streets safer. Don't you want your streets safer in Minneapolis? Don't you want them safer in Boston? Don't you want them safer in LA? Don't you want them safer in Chicago? Apparently not. I mean, I've shown you some of the sound from Brandon Johnson, my gosh, out in Chicago. He has made it very clear. He has no interest in even following the Constitution. Remember this one? I'm going to play it for you. No interest in following the Constitution. Here we go. We're going to try it again.
Our local police department will not ever cooperate with ICE. Whatever their constitutional authority is.
Wow. Whatever their constitutional authority is, they're not going to cooperate with them. No matter what. I don't know if you can do that because, just ask George Wallace back in 1963 Alabama. There was a time when you had the feds saying, you know what, guys, you got to integrate. And guess what? They didn't want to integrate. And so in Alabama, George Wallace said, don't integrate. We're going to lock the doors. We're not going to allow the black students in to the school. And the next thing you know, the feds descend upon the place and they say, hell yeah, you're going to integrate whether you like it or not, because we have jurisdiction now. So if you're going to have such unruliness, and I know that Minneapolis is worried and concerned about what's going to happen on the streets there tonight. Don't forget this is a place where you had George Floyd, etc. If you're that worried about it, then you actually need the feds. You need the help of the federal government. Because if your local mayor or your local politicians are absolutely refusing to honor the law, and this is the law, okay? This is Immigration and Customs Enforcement. This is the Department of Homeland Security. This is the law. I mean, you don't like the law. Kristi Noem has said this so articulately before. If you don't like the law, then you guys go change the law. But the law stands that we are here to enforce the borders. And we are here to enforce and make sure that everybody's in the United States legally. And if you're not, so be it. So I blame the politicians that are trying to gin up this kind of anger, whether it be in Chicago, whether it be in Los Angeles, or whether it be in New York or Minneapolis. Yeah, things can get violent. But I'll also tell you this. We're not going to stand by and allow federal agents to get run over by a bunch of maniacs in Minneapolis. Thank you very much. And that's what it looks like to me. I saw the tape. And that's what it looked like to those officers that are risking their lives there, just trying to uphold the law. I'm looking at Alphonse, who's just joining us here with a comment. He's saying he's been watching Waltz's talk today. He's got Minnesota calling up their National Guard. I'll say, this is a sad time, but you could have almost seen this one coming a million miles away. Listen, guys, we're all on the same team. We all want safety. And don't you sit there and tell me that you're not going to have borders. I'm sorry. You guys are the ones in the violation of the law then. Thank you very much. it's like a tinderbox. It really is out there in Minneapolis right now. And it's going to get difficult tonight. I know it. I want to go to the Hilton hotel that finally did the right thing. But first, do the right thing for yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Invest for yourself. Exercise for yourself. Drink lots and lots and lots of water. 8 bottles a day. You know, I'm a former singer. I used to drink like 16, maybe 32. Trying to keep the vocal cords settled and secure all the time. Anyway, one of the things that I take right now is actually Balance of Nature. I take the fruits and veggies, but they have a whole thing for the new year called the Balance of Nature's Whole Health System. It really sets itself apart from any of the other supplements out there because you know what? These are really versatile supplements. You get the fiber and spice supplement, which mixes very easily into your drinks, adds a warm aromatic depth to your drink along with the spice blend. You can take the fruits and veggies like me, and that's pretty good because then you get a lot of fruits and veggies. A lot of fruits and veggies there. Or you could look at the Balance of Nature's Whole Health System supplements, which include 47 ingredients, 100% real, whole fruits, vegetables, spices, and fibers, perfect for your daily routine. You can get 50% off right now, the Whole Health System for life with this limited time offer. You just go to balanceofnature.com to claim the offer. You use my name, code word Trish, helps the show. Helps you. New and existing customers. Okay, so all of you that already have it, oftentimes we have these deals on there, but then it's not for existing customers. So this is good. It's also for existing customers because I know so many of you guys already take it. You can lock in the Whole Health System at $79.99 per order for life. If you cancel in the future, you're going to lose that price, but go check it out. They get tons and tons of testimonials. People love this stuff. I mean, love it. Balanceofnature.com, code word Trish for 50% off. We got a real hellhole out there in Minneapolis right now where it's going to get dicey tonight. Again, I remind you that this was where we had the George Floyd stuff going on. You have Hilton Hotel out there in Minneapolis that was actually not allowing ICE agents to book hotel rooms, right? So we send them all there and they can't get a room at this one hotel. Well, things have changed rather quickly. Hilton's caving, and it just shows you what a sign of the times this is because I don't know if this would have happened back in 2020. You get Hilton drops bookings for hotel accused of turning away immigration agents. This is the Hampton Inn in Lakeville, Minneapolis. Talking about being bad for a brand. Bad for Hilton, bad for Hampton Inn. The hotel said it took immediate action against a Hampton Inn near Minneapolis after a video showed a worker declining Department of Homeland Security reservations. So this was wild. Department of Homeland Security was actually tweeting about this. No room at the inn, they said, at Hilton Hotels has launched a coordinated campaign in Minneapolis to refuse service to DH law enforcement when officers attempted to book rooms using official government emails and rates. Hilton Hotels maliciously canceled their reservations. And you can see here on the screen that they are actually canceling it because they're not allowing ICE agents to have a room at their hotel. And so this became a big, big deal. And the next thing you know, Hilton weighed in and they said, okay, nope, that's not the, and even the company that apparently runs this inn, they came forward and they apologized. And they said somehow, that was just a mix up. It was a screw up. Everything's okay. ICE agents can absolutely book rooms here, except they couldn't. Because a guy named Nick Sater, who's a popular influencer online, has a really good Twitter account. He got out there. He did a little digging. He actually went and tried to check into one of the Minneapolis Hampton Inn, the Minneapolis Hampton Inn that was actually became the focus of DHS. He went and tried to check in, and he couldn't. So this is interesting. I want to watch it with you.
Wish me luck.
Okay, so here he is, 10:52 at night. Just the other night. Approaches the Hampton Inn.
Black ice.
He's going in to book a room. And nobody at the desk. I guess it's late at night, but somebody comes out eventually.
Hello. How are you?
There we go.
Good. Do you have any rooms for tonight?
Any rooms for tonight?
Like how many? Could we get like 10? 10? I know that might be.
10 rooms.
Make reservations by any chance?
No.
No. What's the name?
It would be just Nick. I'm just
put it under my personal. I don't know if you can use a government rate or not, but.
Let's see. He wants to use a government rate.
It depends because there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Is it, what agency is it for? Using the government rate?
They'd be Department of Homeland Security.
Oh, Department of Homeland Security.
Accepting people from immigration, ICE agents, DHS into our property. It's just the management ownership.
We're not accepting
people.
Today. He's got him on tape. We're not accepting people from DHS. This is our management thing. And so Nick's like,
I just talked to my the owner of the building, and he didn't say there has been any changes. So
really, okay.
Yeah, okay. It's just policy, you know that.
Yeah, I mean that's not your fault. Totally, totally get that. So they actually said that was like, I mean, honestly, this is the most convenient location. So it's like, so they told you no, that there's no.
Yeah, no immigration.
Well, DHS isn't all.
Yeah.
Immigration. Okay. Okay. So even with the thing that they said earlier, where they mentioned that there was a statement that they put out, you know, saying that they accept every.
Do you see that? There's a statement. They said, Hilton Hotel serves as welcoming places for all. The hotel is independently owned and operated, and the actions referenced are not reflective of Hilton values. We're investigating this matter with the individual hotel and can confirm that Hilton works with governments, law enforcement, and community leaders around the world, and to ensure our properties are open and inviting to everyone. So Hilton, the parent company, is like, no, it's all going to be fine, but...
I haven't been informed. I could call my owner right now if you want, and ask him what's...
Okay, long story short, Nick can't get a room at the inn. That's the property, won't allow him. It's unbelievable. Everspeak Hospitality had reaffirmed, by the way. Look at this. On the screen, okay, this Everpeak Hospitality, this is the owner of that particular hotel, had actually said that they moved swiftly to address the matter as it was inconsistent with our policy of being a welcoming place for all. We are in touch with the impacted guests to ensure they are accommodated. We do not discriminate against any individuals or agencies and apologize to those impacted. They had just said this a short time earlier, okay? But that's not the case because Nick went there and they wouldn't give him a freaking room, right? So he's not too happy about it.
It's find out time. They almost got a little bit of a pass the first time, right? You thought they may have learned their lesson. And this is why I said that their talk it means nothing. You know, people were saying, oh, well, no, they said that they're going to change their policy. They lied. They didn't do it. So... they're now going to get Bud Lighted. Congratulations, Hilton. You can take Hilton. You can take your name off that sign tomorrow. Today, you could do it. But we'll see if you will.
Well, you know what? Here's the good news. Ladies and gentlemen. There are no more bookings there at this independent hotel operator. I'm sorry. I see, Don Becker, you're saying, well, they're independent, but no, they're part of the Hilton system, okay? They're like part of the franchise. So when you sign up as a franchise owner, you know, if you have a McDonald's, you kind of have to subscribe to what McDonald's does. And if you decide to have a Hampton Inn that's part of the Hilton chain, you kind of have to subscribe to what they do. And if their policy is, we are willing to take government contracts, we are willing to house DHS agents, then guess what? You kind of have to do it. Otherwise, you go be a little inn. You can be like a little cute bed and breakfast, although you're not that cute. All right? Hilton, whatever you are, Hampton Inn, you could go do your little bed and breakfast thing and don't rely on the Hilton booking system. So the independent hotel owner has assured us that they fixed this problem and published a message confirming this, as you saw. The message. But guess what? Hilton saw Nick's report. I love this. We get two Nicks lately that are conquering, right? Nick Shirley and this guy. As such, we are taking immediate action to remove this hotel from our systems. Hilton is and always has been a welcoming place for all, blah, blah, blah. We want to make sure this doesn't happen again. Good. But you know, if nobody had gone to check, they still would have kept doing it. And isn't that messed up? Almost as messed up as all the fraud we're getting wind of in California. Well, I'll tell you, Kristi Noem's not having it. She told Jesse last night she's on her way. Watch.
Just bring it on.
Oh, we'll be there. We think that this is just the tip of the iceberg. So Minnesota is unbelievable what we've seen, but it is leading us to networks all over the country and overseas, and we're going to follow every single one of them. Homeland Security Investigations is an incredible team of individuals. Fraud that we have in our public programs that are tied to California, absolutely. We're going to come to you, Governor Newsom, and we're going to arrest every single individual that has ties to this kind of stealing of taxpayer dollars, and we will hold them accountable.
Boom. Okay. So she's already sent 2,000 agents to Minneapolis. It has them all worked up. And now, of course, Gavin Newsom's getting all worked up because he's going to have to be under a microscope there. And they're sending DHS agents. And so this, ladies and gentlemen, is becoming a bigger problem nationwide. We showed you the videos out of Ohio. We've showed you videos out of Washington State. I don't know if I've showed you the stuff out of Maine, but up in I wanted to say Bangor, but it's not Bangor. It's where Bates College is. I know one of you guys knows this. Don, you probably know this, right? Off the top of your head. I used to know this because I'm a New Englander and grew up in New Hampshire. But in Maine, they have a real problem as well. And they're looking into the Somali population that may have been running some daycares. You know, who knew? All you forget this YouTube thing. I just needed Somali daycare. I would have been all set, right? Anyway, they've got some problems there in Maine because of exactly the same issues that they were seeing. And where are the politicians on this? Are they in on it? I think that's what they're going to find out. I mean, if you already look at the way Ilhan Omar has been positioning herself, she actually hasn't spoken up recently. I'm sure she'll be speaking today because this is like manna from heaven for her, right? Sadly. I mean, and that's what's so horrible about all of it is that someone has now died and they're going to use this as a moment to try and advance their own cause. You can pretty much be assured of that. Even though, you know, we've got tape like I played you yesterday, that bombshell audio that came to us courtesy of Washington Free Beacon, where you had Keith Ellison, the AG from Minnesota, bragging about how he was going to basically help these indicted fraudsters who took $250 million from a federal child nutrition program brought to you courtesy of Ilhan Omar. She's the one that introduced the whole thing. In fact, one of her staffers, her former campaign staffers, then went on to profit from that very feeding the future. I mean, you can't make this up. And now they're going to say none of this matters because someone has died in Minneapolis. I'll tell you what matters right now to the DHS agents that are out there just trying to do their job. And you know what matters to their families? That the government, that the president, that Kristi Noem has their back. If someone tries to run you over, you ought to be able to fight back. I realize Timmy Walz wants to play dead for everything. And now he's trying to gin up more violence. He wants these protests to continue. I want to share with you what he said moments ago. This guy is a despicable human being, okay? A bad dude. Timmy Walz, ladies and gentlemen, who actually cannot run for governor anymore because you see it's been discovered that he did nothing about all that fraud, didn't care, bragged about it. You saw 2020 debate with Vance. Oh, we got the best child care program. We just gave all this money. It was just great for business. Yeah, I guess we got to sell more Rolls Royces or whatever Porsches that people are driving that run these things. Okay, we're going to try this again. This is Timmy Walz speaking moments ago about the issue in Minneapolis.
Yeah, and I can let General Schaefer talk about this. It so happens it's a training weekend. We've got about 7,500 troops in training at our sites, training sites across the state. What it is, and in the National Guard, you give a warning order, which is a heads up of something could be coming. That just allows people to think about what they would need, what it would mean to mobilize, what it would mean to put them in. And I could let the General talk a little bit about this. Obviously, since the summer of 2020, we had a lot of work done on teams being ready to make sure that civil unrest, and what that means, and I think Commissioner Jacobson was very clear, and I want Minnesotans to hear this from me. the desire to get out and protest and to speak up to this administration of how wrong this is, that is a patriotic duty at this point in time, but it needs to be done safely. And I think the commissioner simply just laid out some of those parameters. We can do that. This is the peaceful resistance that we need. Simon, you want?
It's your patriotic duty to get out there and protest in Minneapolis tonight. Because, I guess an ICE agent deserves to be run over, like they deserve to be kicked out of the Hilton hotel, like they deserve to actually be put on watch lists. Eric Swalwell saying that he was going to make sure he destroyed them if he became governor. These people are messed up. All while we're getting reports that there's tons of fraud happening in California too. I'll tell you this. We got a problem, America, a big one. And we all need to remember we are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, okay? Not that any of these people say the Pledge of Allegiance anymore. Not that they even know it. Other big issue in the news, healthcare. The president coming out and speaking about this just yesterday. I want to play for you what he said. He's got some innovative ideas on everything, including how to make healthcare affordable. What do you know? Maybe put more power into the hands of the individual. Oh, I imagine Timmy and Omar and the rest of them are just apoplectic about this.
Figure it out. Let the money go directly to the people. It goes in a healthcare account. There are numerous things you can do, but you have to let no money for the insurance companies. I'm going to meet with the insurance companies. I said, I'm going to meet with them because I met with the prescription drug companies. And that's when I found out what was going on with the fact that we were paying 10 and 13 and 14 times more money than Europe and other places. I learned that at the meeting. Now I'm going to meet with them in a few days. I'm meeting with them all, 14 companies. I'm meeting with them all. I'm also meeting with oil companies. Let's go. You know what that's about. We've got a lot of oil to drill, which is going to bring down oil prices even further. But if you can come up with health care, remember this, where the money goes to the people, you have just owned, they can't fight it. They're owned by the insurance companies. You guys don't get money from the insurance companies. They do. They get a massive amount of money. It's their biggest donor. They're going to try and fight you, but they can't win the fight. If you explain it, the money goes directly to the people. That's going to be your issue.
Unbelievable. I was just going to change the lower third. We call those lower thirds on the screen to show you he's offering new solutions for healthcare, something that Conservatives for Lower Healthcare very much appreciates because he's doing what no president's ever done before. I mean, he's going someplace that nobody else dares to go. He's holding Big Pharma accountable, and that's a big deal because, there's a lot of lobbying money in Big Pharma, and he's willing to say to hell with that because you guys are ripping off the American people, and that's not working for me or for them. Big Pharma has an army of lobbyists, and they pay a lot of money for all those big fancy commercials that you see on the NBC Nightly News, the ABC World News Tonight, and CBS Evening News. Probably The View too, okay? You wonder why they're on one side. Well, they've already hiked prices on hundreds of medications this year. Your medication costs have probably gone up. We've got the highest prescription drug costs in the world, and they want them to go even higher. Because, they got to pay for all those misleading ads that they got on the evening news every night. Ads you don't need. Worse yet, Big Pharma pushes government mandates designed to stack the deck in their favor, of course. So that they can escape accountability, so that they can block free market competition. So they can have higher, outrageous prices that line themselves in their own pockets. And it means, more government intrusion, bigger profits for them, higher costs for families and businesses. Not good, right? So Conservatives for Lower Healthcare is warning that the Big Pharma agenda is going to stick Americans and employers with billions of dollars in higher premiums and higher costs. Trump gets this. Believe me, President Trump gets this, and that's why he's not backing down. His administration is cracking down on drug companies that gouge Americans and mislead patients with obnoxious advertising to the point where you can't even watch television with your family anymore, for goodness sakes. You know those ads I'm talking about. Meanwhile, conservatives in Congress are introducing reforms to stop Big Pharma's games that block generics and keep prices high. So join us In rejecting Big Pharma's agenda, I want you to visit pharmawindfall.com today to help lower drug prices. In the interest of transparency, Conservatives for Lower Healthcare Costs is one of our great sponsors here on the Trish Regan Show, and they're doing good work. Good work. It's important to be doing right about now. You guys are wondering who's going to go to jail. Criminal charges for any of these people? You know, they're going to try and take this story and run with it. What we just saw unfold there in Minneapolis, you got Timmy telling everybody to take to the streets and to protest and this, that, and he has to call in the Minnesota National Guard. They're going to try and run with this because it's like another George Floyd moment for them, right? Where you could try and change the culture in some way. And I think that we need to be very aware of that, because the truth is, you were bilked out of $19 billion, possibly much more, in Minnesota alone, and you were bilked out of it by all the people in this woman's district. Not all of them, forgive me. I should be cautious how I say that. Just a really bad handful of them. And there are a lot of questions right now as to where that money went. In other words, did this go to fund al-Shabaab? And I'm going to tell you with a certain amount of certainty, the answer is yes. She's finally realizing that.
There is not a single evidence that the president or his coonies have put forth that there are any single resource from taxpayers in Minnesota that has gone to aid and abet terrorism. That language is dangerous. That language puts the lives of Somalis, not only in Minnesota, but across the country, in danger.
If money from U.S. tax dollars is being sent to help with terrorism in Somalia, we want to know. Yeah. And we want those people prosecuted. And we want to make sure that that doesn't ever happen again.
It kind of sounds different, right? Oh, here's one of the suspected financiers, shall we say. He actually worked for the Somalian Minister of Foreign Affairs. He was the Somalian Minister of Foreign Affairs, but somehow had a business partner and was like bilking the system out of Medicare and Medicaid money. Those are the allegations anyway. I'm telling you, this is messed up, okay? And she knew it. She and her hubby, Minette. I can never remember his name, so finally it hit me. You know, you think about my net worth. Well, Ilhan Omar's able to say my net worth went up when I married Minette, because all of a sudden, all that campaign money that was going into my campaign coffers, I could direct it straight to him. He's running the whole shebang, right? He's run my show. So he gets paid by all the campaign people. He's a quasi-lobbyist of some sort or some kind of political, God knows what. He claims he's in private equity. Let me just tell you, I've been a business reporter my whole life. I know what private equity is. It doesn't look like he has a private equity company to me. Maybe he's just saying that because he gets a better tax rate. We call it the fat cat tax loophole that they give the PE investors. Anyway, this reported windfall that she suddenly made is now very much in focus, because she went from, I think one of you guys told me the other day, I tried to say her net worth was like $200,000. You're like, no, it was negative 65,000. So let's go with negative 65,000. She went from negative 65,000 to an estimated $30 million today, like overnight, because she married Minette. And Minette has had other problems. In fact, he's facing fraud allegations for his winery business that he has. Hasn't she been married like 3 times and her husband now owns a winery business? She's really not a very good Muslim, is she? Or maybe she's a very good one who's delivering for her community because they've found a way to scam the system. And that's got to stop. So don't lose sight of what the real story is. With all the protests that come out, this is the same community. The same exact community. And by the way, Congress would love to kick Ilhan Omar out. Representative Fine out of Florida is working on it as we speak. This is the same community that brought us George Floyd. Don't lose sight of the $19 billion that they took from every single one of you. That's the story. And DHS needs to be there. And DHS cannot get run over, symbolically or literally, by the Jasmine Crockett's, the Ilhan Omars, the Timmy Waltzes, or the Kamala Harrises and AOCs of this world. Not right. It's good to have you guys here. Make sure you subscribe, share, like, do me that favor. We're having a hard time. I don't know. Maybe we had too many stories today because we're not, or maybe the algorithm doesn't like me so much today. I don't know. But do me a favor, give it a like, make a comment, even in the comments afterwards, because it's really, really important that we get the word out, especially right now, especially with what is about to happen. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll see you back on the show tomorrow with much more.